Hello. So, here's a cabover tonka truck. And just to cover how it's put together and kind of a few different pictures of how you can make one similar to this and such. So, to start off with, this truck literally started out as like three different trucks. The front of this cab was actually busted off and hammered it back out to where it fit back on its chassis. And it was originally a crane truck, and I just took the crane part off, took the saddle off of what was actually, or what became the monster Cloudbuster base Tonka truck we've got a video of. And to cover a bit of history for these, the 64 to 67s had a slightly smaller wheel well opening, and they had Mighty Tonk on the front grille. In 68, they went to a slightly larger opening for the wheel well, but they still kept the smaller wheels for the next year that they were going to move to what everybody remembers as the larger Tonka truck wheels. But they also went to their common like round oval, or sorry, oval Tonka decal that was in the middle of their hood. From that, I ended up putting this truck together using spare parts mostly from the ECX Barrage that later became what the basis for the bronze Tonka Monster truck that we've got a video of as well. And these axles came from a friend of mine local that has like a catch-all RC antique. It's like a flea market of sorts shop. And I just went through, cleaned the axles, put them together, and it worked pretty good. Then used a really old from the 80s or so Futaba servo that for whatever reason it's strong enough and it does just fine for this truck crawling. And we've got a eBay special transmission that I just wanted the idea of what I've seen on more of these actual industrial style trucks is they just have the transfer case hanging down a bit more, but you can see it, it's still up high to not get caught and everything. So I ended up mounting the transmission and rotating it down to where it was more like a transfer case with the actual outputs from the transmission being the lowest part of the drivetrain, aside from the axles themselves. But so you go into it, I then used to actually mount it it's a air conditioner or a window shaker style air conditioner bracket that I just bend to shape, and after that painted it black, put everything together, added a brace from, if I can find it without looking, from a Kyosho Rampage Nitro buggy that I just had a part of for some reason. It triangulated the actual mounts for the transmission, so it literally can bounce off of sticks and rocks and such that I've done before and not really break anything. Just as the motor I'm using is a 550 motor that came out of a drill that the whole thing was busted, but it was given to me to use, so I used it. The rear drive shaft is just parts of the ECX Barrage and a Traxxas 4Tech drive shaft that I had to have something really short to keep the wheelbase correct. And the front is just to cut down ECX Barrage drive shaft. Then the links are whatever I had sitting around. The shocks came from a Tamiya GNX Nitro truck that I got pieces of and flipped them upside down, put collets on the shock shafts, and then an O-ring on top of that collet, then mounted them through the actual Tonka chassis, and then had a nut hold everything together so it would still have flex to it to allow the actual suspension to move, yet it would still hold everything together but keep the center of gravity down really low. So I've never really maxed the suspension out on this truck, but it's certainly capable of more than I would really need. And otherwise, I just made the electronics, the headlight circuit for it out of just a random LED strip thing that I cut down, soldered in some wire for it, and works pretty good. Then, even just for showing how big of a parts case this thing is, here's the remote, and that's what holds my actual battery in to make this thing function. It's just a piece of paper. But anyways, I'll cut in some clips of this somewhere at the end here, and you guys can get a better idea of how to make one for yourselves. See you guys later. I got some reading to do for how the hell to make a hot rod out of the mess in the garage. See ya.